Welcome everyone, my name is Berenice Garcia Telles. I'm the Economic Sustainability Specialist for the City of Longmont. Today we're going to learn more about how to read our utility bills. And I have here with me a panel of speakers, and they will go through you about water, energy, Nextlight, and they will provide some saving tips for your bills. We're going to learn about the benefits of the Sustainable Business Program. As I mentioned to you, we're going to learn about how to read our utility bills, some saving tips, and at the end, we're going to provide some contact information for you to reach out to us if you have any questions. Before going into the details of the utility bills, I want to tell you a little bit more about the Sustainable Business Program. I'm going to play a video of 1 minute for you to enjoy.
Building a sustainable community is more than caring for our environment.
It's about making you, your family, and your business stronger by giving everyone a chance to participate.
Left Hand Brewing Company has joined other businesses in Longmont to work toward a common goal, and we are ready to share the next step.
By building on these three essential pillars: environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and economic sustainability.
Todos podemos involucrarnos y poner un granito de arena, apoyarnos y ser triunfadores en este programa.
Help the company you work for take the first step
by learning more about the Longmont vision for sustainability and see the free resources available to make it happen. Together, we can thrive
today and tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Berenice Garcia Telles. I am the Economic Sustainability Specialist for the City of Longmont. Learn more about how to become a sustainable business in our website. Together, we can thrive today and tomorrow.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to tell you more details about the Sustainable Business Program. This program falls under the Sustainability Plan that was enacted in 2016. I'm proud to tell you that this program is the first national city program that is based on the triple bottom line. So we take care of people, of the planet, and the profit. This program is bilingual because in Longmont, 40% of the population is Hispanic Latino. So we want to make accessible and available this program to those business owners that are monolingual Spanish speakers. The program is free and voluntary. And last year, we have the launch, and we launched it with 50 businesses participating. 21 of them are certified, and we assisted 29. And I just want to emphasize that this program recognizes the amazing efforts businesses are doing to reduce their environmental impact, acting socially responsible, and contributing to the local economy, especially now during the pandemic and, of course, after the pandemic. And now I'm going to introduce you to Tyler Will, that he's going to walk you through the Xcel Energy natural gas bill, and you can learn more about the usage and how you can save in your utility bill related to natural gas. Okay, now over to you, Tyler. Thank you.
So this is Tyler with Xcel Energy for the natural gas billing. You can go next slide.
Yes. Thank
So
you.
I'll briefly go over the rates and what your bill looks like and what makes up your billing rates. You go next slide. All right, so this is a pretty simple summary of a typical standard natural gas. Most of everyone should be in this category. You will have a $43.88 metering charge. This is a fixed cost. I'll go into a little bit more detail as to what that makes up. And then the variable cost is 41 cents per therm. And then again, I will go into detail and break this down to each charge that makes up this total. Next slide. All right, so this page breaks down the first page of your bill. It's just going to be the summary of the billing. So it is going to show your total natural gas services. You may see more than one line if you have multiple addresses. It's also going to show your previous balance, current bill, as well as due date and things like that. So then it's a very simple summary of everything. Please note you'll only see the natural gas service charges. This is showing electric, but in Longmont, we are only the natural gas provider. Go to the next All right, so this is going to be the second page of your bill. You may, again, have more than one of these pages if you have multiple premises or multiple meters. So it summarizes the usage, breaks down for each meter. So we're going to go through this and break down what the specific information and the charges are for the premise. It's going to show a breakdown that make up that cost of that total on the previous slide, as mentioned. So we're kind of just going to go down these and review what they are. So the top one, that service and facility charge, that's going to be that metering charge that I mentioned. This is going to be, again, a fixed cost. You will see one each per meter, so it's, again, a per meter charge. They call it service and facility because it's kind of broken down into two things. Service refers to the cost of the meter reading, billing, accounting, and customer service. The facility portion are the costs related to the meters and servicing your equipment on site. And then below this, you'll see that the variable charges have usage units and are times by a rate. Again, that's because it's based off of the per therm usage you have for each meter. And then I'll kind of quickly go through what each of these mean in more detail in the next slide. Go to the next slide. All right, so that usage charge, that recovers the cost of the pipes, compressors, and storage facilities. All this equipment is required to deliver your natural gas to your property. The interstate pipeline, this covers the payments to the interstate or the upstream. So basically, this is the pipelines that Xcel does not own. We do have to pay for the transport of that gas as well as the storage facility operators. FERC does regulate these services and the rates charged to Xcel Energy. The DSMCA is the Demand Side Management Cost Adjustment. This covers the side of the demand side management programs that help with the, they pay like incentives and things like that to help you manage your energy consumption. That's actually the department I work for to hopefully help you, encourage you to install efficient equipment. And this includes the assessment and rebate programs that we'll mention later in this presentation. And then a natural gas, they put 1, 2, 3, and 4 for quarterly because depending on what quarter that usage falls in, you see that. So right now, for example, we'll be still in the third quarter, moving to the fourth quarter next month. And this is the base rate cost of the natural gas of the actual commodity that Xcel Energy purchases based on market prices. Go next slide. The PSIA is the Pipeline System Integrity Adjustment. That recovers the cost of the pipeline improvement programs, and these are our specific pipelines. There's quite a few programs that are actually mentioned. I didn't put them on here because there's quite a few of them, but they are actually on the bill backer, located on the back of your bill. If you do have an electronic copy, it is available on our website, so you can take a look at that. And then the franchise fee was actually on the bottom portion of your bill next to the sales tax. This covers the cost of fees that Xcel Energy pays to the cities or towns for use of alleys, streets, and right-of-ways where our equipment is located. So the agreed upon amount with Longmont is 3%. So you should see that on all of your bill if you're within a municipality. And then sales tax, I didn't note on here, but that's just right next to the franchise fee, and that's listed on the bottom of the charges. And these charges do get adjusted occasionally. So I have included this link that PowerPoint should be made available to you. You can click on that. You can match it up with the bills if you'd like, but it notes these changes throughout the year, and it goes back quite a few years. And then on the next slide is our contact info. You can feel free to reach me if you do have questions about rebates, incentives. You can also reach the specialist. That's my team. And then we do have a dedicated billing team that can go over your bill and these rates in a little bit more detail. Otherwise, our website is a great resource to look up programs as well as billing information. And that's all.
Thank you, Tyler. And this was Tyler with Xcel Energy, and now yes, we're going to pass to Susan Bartlett with LPC with the electric billing.
Thank you, Tyler and Bernice. I'm Susan Bartlett, and I'm one of 2 commercial account managers Longmont Power and Communications. And next we're going to walk you through your City of Longmont electricity and water bills. I'm going to go over the electric bits, and Becky Doyle is going to cover the water bits. And if you have internet through Nextlight, that's a separate bill, and that's going to be covered by Ian Carmichael. Next slide, please. So I want to start with page 1 of your city utility bill. It's going to have 5 standard elements. There's going to be first your account information with the name of your business, your address, and your account number. Then there's going to be a summary of your current charges, and that's everything aggregated together, electricity, water, and other fees. Then there's going to be contact information in case you have questions about your bill or if you want to pay your bill online. And the 4th area is a bundled breakout of charges by utility type. So you see here, electric is broken out, water is broken out, and then just those other charges are broken out. And then the final thing is just a place where the city can notify you about information we'd like you to have. This in particular is about how to pay your bills online. Next slide. So in addition to the charges for electricity and water that you use each month, there's the monthly service fee. There are also taxes that are applied based on the charges for each utility. So utilities are a taxable service. Tyler talked about that. They're provided by the City of Longmont in this case, and a business pays taxes on these utilities unless they apply for tax exempt status. And some examples of businesses or organizations rather that can receive tax exempt status are schools, churches, and actually some manufacturers. So if you think your business may be eligible, or if you want to learn more about what it takes to be eligible, please let me know and I'll get you some information to kind of help determine that. Also wanted to point out we have the RTD SD County sales tax. RTD, of course, is the regional transit district for bus service. And then SD is special or cultural districts. And then of course our Boulder County sales tax. So taxes are going to be variable depending on your utility costs each month, but there are also some non-variable fees. They don't change from month to month. These include the monthly service fee that's based on your rate and the number of meters that you have. There's also a $2 per premise parks greenway maintenance fee, and that's collected to do kind of what it says: maintain, operate, repair, and renew city-owned parks, greenways, and pools. And then there's a storm drainage fee, and that's going to be covered later. Next slide. So on page 2 of your bill, you're going to find some additional detail about charges for each of the electric meters that's attached to your premise. This example here shows summer charges for each of our 3 commercial electric rate types. This is the first year that we've used commercial summer rates for business customers, and some of you may have noticed some confusing entries on your bills in June or July. We've gotten those issues resolved with our billing system, and your summer bills should resemble this moving forward, you know, kind of depending on which meter type you have or which rate you have. So for each meter, you're going to see your electric rate. Those are the things circled in red. Then you're going to see your meter number, followed by consumption, demand, and for some customers, coincident demand, and that's depending on your rate structure. Next slide, please. So we have several types of commercial rates, which showed up on the slide before. All of them have seasonal components. As I mentioned, customers pay, we have these new summer rates. Customers will pay more during the summer months than in non-summer months, because that's when everyone in our service area is using the most electricity. You know, think about everybody having their air conditioning on at the same time. The 3 different commercial rates that we have are based on the amount of electricity used as well as the facility demand. I'm going to describe demand shortly, but I just wanted to let you know that these rates are not based on business type. It's more about how much you use with your business. And if you have more than 1 meter, you may have more than 1 rate type. So each rate has a flat service fee per month, and that enables us to bring your business the level of service that you require. So on the left, the commercial energy rate is the most like our residential rates, in that you pay only for the amount of electricity you use in that month, and that's measured in kilowatt hours. I'm going to use a common car analogy, and that is that energy used measured in kilowatt hours is like car travel measured by miles on your odometer. The middle rate is commercial demand, and I would say many of our small to medium customers in Longmont fall in this category. So charges for this include the amount you use in kilowatt hours plus your demand. And demand is the highest rate or the speed at which your business uses electricity. And I'm going to continue with that car analogy. So demand is akin to the speed at which you're driving, and it's measured on the speedometer. So then we have a third category. It's commercial coincident demand, or CCD. And this is for our largest customers. So we don't have very many in this category. So this rate structure is based on the amount of energy used in kilowatt hours, the facility peak demand in kilowatts, and then your facility demand at the time that our whole service area system is peaking. And so again, back to that car analogy, it's the speed at which you're driving when everyone else is driving really fast. Next slide. So there are a few other much less common rates that you might see on your bill. Many are related to on-site renewable energy generation, mostly solar, or renewable energy subscription rates if you participate in our renewable power program. And that's where customers can purchase blocks of renewable power to offset some or all of their electricity use. So if you're a self-generating customer, or if you purchase renewable energy blocks through the renewable power program, you can earn points towards certification in the Sustainable Business Program. And then finally, in that column on the right-hand side, there are also some special rates for construction, or rates where we're measuring energy use and demand, but we're only billing for energy use. So if you have a CO as part of your rate, that indicates to us that you're a construction customer. So COEL would be construction energy, COD would be construction demand, and then COKW would be construction where we're measuring your demand, but we're not charging you. And that's kind of like the CEKW, which is an energy rate where we're charging you for the energy consumption in kilowatt hours. We're measuring demand, but we're not charging for demand. Next slide. So I hope I've answered most of the questions about what you might see on your electric bill, and explain the differences among all of our commercial rates. If you have questions about any of these rates or where you fall within the rate structure, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email. And then Becky Doyle, the Public Works and Natural Resources Assistant Director of Business Services, is going to walk you through the water elements of your city bill.
Hello, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to talk about water and wastewater billing. Next slide. So similar to electric and gas service, water is a metered service. So there's a meter at your place of business or at your property that measures how much water is used there. And so as you can see, also very similar to electric service, we have the first element of our rate is a monthly service charge, which is based on the size of your meter. And then secondarily, we have a volume charge, which depends on how much water you use on a monthly basis. There are two rates that are going to be applicable to businesses. One is going to be the commercial metered water, which is actually the second one shown here. And that's for any water that is used certainly inside, but also some folks have commercial metered water meters where they have both indoor and outdoor use. The other potential rate that you might see is the one here marked irrigation water, and that is applicable to meters where all of the water usage is outside for things like watering landscaping. So very similar with usage down here. Wastewater is slightly different because we do not directly meter wastewater use. We make some assumptions about the idea that for those commercial metered water meters, where we have both indoor and outdoor use, we assume that during the winter months that all of the water that's used inside of a building is then discharged into the sewer system. So as you can see, the volume charge for sewer is, or the volume charged for sewer is the same as the volume charged with that associated water meter above, that 485/700. So there's one small nuance to that I'll go into in a few slides. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, there are those two components to rates. So first is the monthly service charge. Most businesses, probably 85 to 90%, have a 5/8 by 3/4 inch meter, which is the very first line in this table here. So that's the charge that you'll see on your bill for that fixed portion of the charge. And then you can see this year's rates for small commercial, which is the same as what we would charge to mixed use or airport users. And in 2019, the City Council adopted a 5-year water rate schedule. And if you use this, this short URL here, you can go take a look at that whole schedule, and that may help you with planning for the next few years for amounts spent on water. Next slide, please. So I talked for a moment about wastewater, and similarly, there's a flat monthly service charge and then a portion that's all based on volume used. So something that we know about water use is that it's very seasonal, and certainly we see a similar peak in the summer, sort of like with electric use, although, for different reasons. It's, people are watering gardens and lawns and things like that. And so we know that not all water used during that summer peak is then, as I mentioned, discharged into the sewer system. So we have rates that are called based on a winter quarter average. And what that means is that we take a look at the volume that's used indoors in the winter months. We assume that people are not watering lawns and gardens during December, January, and February. So we take use during those months, which is reflected on the January, February, and March water bills. And those 3 months, that the average usage is combined to establish what we call a winter quarter average, which is a maximum volume that you're charged for wastewater use throughout the rest of the year. Next slide. And then Susan mentioned also previously, the storm drainage fee is a flat fee that's based on the gross area of your lot. So every account has at least one unit of this fee, so $13.05. But if your property is larger, you will see that in multiples of $13.05 for every 20,000 square feet. And parking greenway maintenance fee is flat per account. Okay, and I think that's all I have. Our next slide is, yes, certainly if you have questions, you can email me or you can call our customer service center with the information right there. And next up is Ian, yes, with Nextlight.
Hi, thank you. My name is Ian Carmichael. I'm the Product Marketing Distribution Manager with Nextlight. Next slide, please. This is a copy or sample of our bill. It's pretty straightforward. Nextlight, like other internet service providers, charges in advance of service. Your due date is, or your bill cycle for commercial services is on the 1st of each month. Terms are net 30. Excuse me for just a second. And let's see. So number one, if you look at the bill to the right, you'll see that corresponds with your due date. Down below, number two, shows your charges for your phone service. One thing I'll point out is if you have multiple phone lines, this particular bill just shows one phone line. If you have multiple phone lines, it doesn't break it out. It'll all be lumped in that one, or that first line where it says commercial voice and long distance. And then you'll see below there the different fees and taxes associated with telephone service, E911, telephone utility tax, and so on. One thing I'll mention is that if you are a nonprofit and you can show us that documentation, we will not charge you for these fees and taxes. Item 3 is your internet charges. There are no taxes or fees associated with internet. Down below, in number 4 is the amount due each month. And then number 5 is your account number. Next slide, please. There are several different ways to pay your bill. There's actually 4 different ways. The first way is online via your bank. You would just select Nextlight as the payee. You may also visit mybroadband.com and go online, and there's an online portal to make payments. You may also send in a check, and those may be sent to 350 Kimbark Street, which is the Civic Center. Or you could do so, you can also make a payment in person. And you can either do that down at the Civic Center or here at the Service Center, and those addresses are listed. Next slide, please. One of the things that we're excited to announce that we recently did was to reduce the rates of some of our tiers of service. We also went from 12 tiers to 5 tiers to make things simpler for our customers. So as you can see, we've moved to all symmetrical tiers, meaning that your upload and download speeds are the same. We've found over the last few months, especially during this pandemic, that upload speeds are very important. Especially for meetings like this, Zoom meetings require a fast upload speed. Next slide, please. Here's a couple of important contacts. If you're interested in new service, you can contact us Monday through Friday, and then just follow the prompts. If you have billing questions, again, we're available Monday through Friday from 8 to 6. Recently, it states here that we're available on Saturdays. We are no longer available on Saturdays for billing questions, but you can contact us during the week. Technical support is available Monday through Friday from 7 to 9, and they are still available on Saturdays from 8 to 4. And those are the prompts, and up top you see that 303-774 number. That's our main number to contact us. Next slide. And if you have any questions or if you're interested in service, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is there. And I thank you for your time.
Now we're moving to the saving tips, and we're going to start with Susan.
Thank you. So now that you know how to get information from your bills, we'd like to offer some tips and resources to help you start saving energy and water right away and also over the long term. Next slide. So as some context, we wanted to show you some average energy costs for commercial customers in Longmont in 2019. Just keep in mind that among our 5,200 commercial premises, we have a huge variation of business types and sizes. So don't be alarmed if your business doesn't match up exactly or if it falls outside of these averages. But we did want to give you just an idea of what that average looks like. So in this table here, you see that we have average annual and monthly electric use and cost for both the CE customer rate as well as the CD, so that commercial demand rate. And again, we're showing an annual total as well as a monthly total. We also have some averages for natural gas that Xcel Energy has provided that is aggregated kind of across all of our commercial customers, where we're showing that annual use in therms, and then that monthly use in therms, an annual cost, and a monthly cost. Again, this is just to give you a benchmark, keeping in mind that your business may be very different than other businesses. Next slide. So there are some basic tips any business can apply to save money. They're not new or sexy or even particularly innovative, but they do work, and we would encourage you to do as many of them as possible. First, simply turn things off that you're not using, especially if you're not in the space, if it's on weekends or overnight or times when your business is not operational. Also, we would encourage you to perform regular HVAC maintenance just to be sure that all your equipment is running like it should be. You know, this equipment is typically housed in a cabinet on your roof or behind your building, and it's really hard to know if it's doing the things that it's supposed to do without having it checked. And that includes changing out filters and whatnot as well, and thinking about our air quality recently. These filters are having to do a lot more work than usual, and the more stuff there is in your filter, the harder your system has to work to condition your air. Also, you can install some lighting occupancy sensors, take advantage of natural sunlight, and you know, this is particularly helpful if you're not back to 100% staffing. You know, you don't want everything to be on if your building is only half occupied. We would encourage you to unplug office and break room equipment, and aligned with that is if you can plug a lot of your electronics into power strips that can be shut off easily when they're not needed, that's just going to make doing this activity a lot easier for you and your staff. Another thing that's really important, if you don't already have them, is to install programmable thermostats to manage the temperature, both heating and cooling. We would recommend that you set your cooling temperatures higher by 7 to 10 degrees when you're not doing business, and then even try 2 to 5 degrees higher when you are open, and just see if anybody complains. There's about a 1% savings for each degree of adjustment over an 8-hour period that you can save. And you know, according to the Department of Energy, you can save as much as 10% on heating and cooling by using some of these suggested set points. We also recommend using fans when you can. If you have ceiling fans or portable box fans, taking advantage of cooler evening or morning air to pre-cool spaces. I think it's important to educate and engage your employees. If they have a better understanding of your building and how it operates and their part in using energy in that space, I think you'll find that they'll be enthusiastic about helping you lower those costs. You can also get a free energy assessment or advising, and oftentimes that advising and assessment comes with free stuff, light bulbs and other things based on your business needs. So we would encourage you to do that. They'll come in and look at your space or talk with you through your space to identify some things that you might be able to improve with little or no cost. And then the last thing on the list is sort of a plug for our rebate program right now. Plus, it's just a really good thing to consider. It pays back fairly quickly compared to other projects. And that's if you don't have LED lighting fixtures already, now might be a really good time to do that. And the reason for that is that through Efficiency Works, our rebate program, you can get an additional 25% bonus on top of the standard bonus for replacing fixtures if you do it by November of this year. Next slide. So Tyler is going to talk us through some of the natural gas tips.
Yep. Yeah, we'll just go over some of these simple, similar to what Susan was going over, which is simple things you can do at little to no cost. So the first one is we do have a free energy audit available through our partner called Clear Result. When they come to your property, they are going to primarily review the natural gas appliances. That's what the report will be. They do typically do electric and gas, so if you did have questions about certain things, they'd certainly be more than welcome to help you. And it's free for basically any business at the moment. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in that. And similar to the electric, we do recommend you do have a programmable thermostat to regulate on a schedule. Obviously, with it being the heating season, you can set that thermostat higher, so that it's not kicking on as much when no one's there, and then maybe, you know, like right before you open, program it so it starts to ramp up to that comfortable temperature again. And then some other simple things is just making sure that your windows and doors are sealed. If you notice like your home or a business, if you feel a draft coming from under your door or the windows creases or seals, you can get those either little draft protectors on your doors, or you can seal your windows. Basically any warm air you're losing in the winter, you are going to be using more natural gas to try to make up that loss of heat. And then I did accidentally skip over this, but making sure that you're also insulating your steam and hot water pipes. Things like around your water heater, typically they're in a room that might not be as conditioned or heated as other parts. You can have that insulated so that you lose less of that heat through heating your water. And we do actually have some rebates for that available. And then just making sure you're updating and maintaining your boilers with regular tune-ups. I would recommend you obviously try to do that once a year, but you know, at least every other year, making sure that it's there's no issues. Boilers and also steam boilers in old churches and older properties, you have steam traps that you should make sure are not failing. If those do fail, can contribute to a large cost. There are rebates available for those as well. And then make sure you are replacing your HVAC filters. That does affect heating as well. Obviously, when it's clogged up and dirty, it's not going to be as efficient as pushing air through. So just making sure you check that every year, and then it doesn't need replacement. And then in a regular office, make sure you do have like fans pushing the warm air down. Or if you have like a warehouse, they do have something called stratification fans that are mounted on the ceiling that push all that air down. So that the air is properly circulating. You know, basically you're not just heating the top of your business. It makes the business more comfortable, as well as does save money for heating. And then that last one, install low flow aerators on faucets. These are simple adapters you put on the faucets in your bathrooms or kitchens that add air to the flow of the water. Not only does it save on water cost, but it does, because you need hot water you're heating, people washing their hands, things like that, minimizes that flow of water and does save on hot water use. And then I'm just going to quickly mention, we do have incentives available. So if you are replacing equipment, be sure to reach out to us for your natural gas appliances. We may have something. Water heaters is a really good one that actually doubled last year. So it's now $400 for 100,000 on BTUH. And it's actually pretty significant cost. So, you know, if you are looking at replacing maybe a malfunctioning water heater, reach out. And then we also do have custom rebates for things like condensing boilers and manufacturing equipment. There's a bonus going until November 1st to get it analyzed. So you can feel free to reach out if you have questions or would like to apply for this. And that's all I have.
Thanks again, Tyler. There is quite a bit of overlap in natural gas and electricity, but that, to me, what that means is if you do one thing, you're getting the advantage from both utilities. So I definitely encourage you to do those things where you see there's an overlap. So we wanted, while we couldn't include details for every kind of business in Longmont, we wanted to provide some information on common business types in Longmont in terms of how these business types use energy to operate. And so I'll start with the small to medium offices. You can see here that lighting, heating, and cooling account for about 70% of energy use. And the chart on the left is natural gas, and you can see that heating is huge for office spaces. So that's where the majority of your natural gas is going. Electricity tends to be lighting and HVAC. And aside from the general tips that we've already covered, some additional ideas for office spaces could be, and we have sort of covered this, but I want to talk about workstations, putting smart power strips on workstations that, you know, it could be a laptop, a desktop, multiple monitors. Everybody has 2 or 3 monitors now, printers, coffee machines, that sort of thing, you can save more than 25% of energy on workstations, according to the Department of Energy, if you put these controls on so that they can be switched off at night or weekends. Also related is just to make sure that you have power management settings enabled on all of your electronic equipment, so that even during the workday, if you get up and walk away from your workstation, things go into sleep mode. And according to eSource, you can save up to $75 per workstation per year by enabling those settings. You can also use shades or blinds if you have them to keep heat out during the summer months. And then some capital projects where we have rebates available through Efficiency Works and also through Xcel Energy. I'll just start with the lighting again. I won't belabor it, just to say that now is a really good time to upgrade your fixtures to LED fixtures if you haven't done it already. And if you do have sort of half staff right now versus full staff, it would be nice to install occupancy sensors so you only have lights on in spaces where there are people working. And then both Tyler and I mentioned maintaining your equipment. We would recommend recommissioning on your building systems, tune-ups. You know, what this does is it makes sure that your equipment is calibrated to your operating hours and to you know, your temperature settings and things like that. Also, because a lot of this equipment sits outside, you know, things wear out. It will include some component replacement to make sure that your equipment is functioning like you need it to. And also it could control adding some controls so that you can manage those pieces of equipment a little more carefully. And then finally, just when you're having to replace office equipment, there are Energy Star models available for almost everything that's electronic these days, and we would encourage you to do that. There are rebates available through Efficiency Works for all kinds of Energy Star equipment. Next slide. So we have a lot of retail in Longmont. It can be anywhere from big box to a convenience store, so very diverse. And you can see from this particular graphic that on the right-hand side, that heating again is the biggest natural gas user in retail spaces. Then for electricity, again, it's lighting, HVAC, and then refrigeration if your retail space is one that has reach-in coolers or you know, any kind of refrigeration. I think of liquor stores, convenience stores, grocery, that all have, you know, their food preservation kinds of equipment. So some tips for these spaces, again, just turn things off when you're not using them. And an example of this might be liquor stores. If you have a lot of neon signs displayed in the windows, use them at night, but there's no reason to have them on during the day. So you can put them on timers. Also, I know a lot of small retail locations like their doors to be open because it feels welcoming for customers, but it's also letting a lot of your conditioned air out the door. Continue to clean and maintain your equipment. Regularly schedule some maintenance on your equipment, cleaning coils and replacing filters, making sure your cabinets are in good order. And then as far as capital projects go, where we have rebates available, LED lighting, also a good option for retail, especially a good option for retail. And then I would suggest that you pay attention to your envelope. Tyler mentioned this earlier, just kind of checking for drafts and gaps and sealing those. It's a fairly low cost thing that you can do every other year to make sure that your envelope is tightly sealed. And then I'll finish with another emphasis on the refrigeration. With case coolers and freezers, you want to check the gaskets on all of the reach-in doors and make sure those gaskets are still soft and pliable, that they're not torn. You want those doors to have a good seal. Also, you can replace the lighting in a lot of these case coolers and freezers with LED lighting. You want to be sure and clean the condenser coils and maintain the equipment. Another thing that you can do, if they're not already Energy Star coolers and freezers is install more efficient fan motors in those units. Next slide. So restaurants, if any of you are restaurant owners, you know that they use a lot of energy per square foot. There's a lot going on in typically a not very big space. Plus, restaurants generally have longer operating hours. So some tips for restaurants is to turn off equipment when you're not using that equipment, and that could be exhaust hoods, it could be warming cabinets, any number of things. And you might even want to develop a checklist for your staff. So people that come in for the first shift, the prep shift, let them know what they need to turn on, what they don't need to turn on, and then what can be turned on and off throughout the day, and then what needs to be shut down at the end of the day. One of the things that can be shut down at the end of the day is high temp dishwashers, so that you're not going through that heat cycle all night long when you don't need it. You can also turn down your water heater temperature, no higher than 140 degrees. And then check your refrigeration and your hot food holding cabinet door gaskets, again, for cracks and gaps and tears and general wear. They're fairly inexpensive to replace. They age pretty easily, especially if there's a lot of opening and closing. And we have rebates available for them, so it's a really good option to maintain that equipment. Also, if you have big walk-in coolers or freezers and you used to have an air curtain, or your air curtain strips have been cut off halfway to make it easier to get through, you're going to want to replace that to make sure that you're maintaining those temperatures where you can. We have rebates for that as well. And then you want to maintain the condenser coils on the refrigeration equipment. And finally, I realize how expensive commercial kitchen equipment is. And a lot of times business owners don't want to replace it until they have to. But when you do have to replace equipment, I would encourage you to get Energy Star models. It can be cooking, refrigeration, dishwashing, clothes washing, ice making. There are Energy Star models available for all of those things, and Efficiency Works has rebates for all of those things. And I'll just say that Xcel Energy is also coming up with some rebates for some high efficiency gas powered food service. So if you're planning to buy any new equipment, be sure and check the Efficiency Works website, the Xcel Energy website, to make sure that you're not missing out on a good rebate there. And we'll provide some information for you in terms of finding those resources. Next slide. So we've covered a lot, and I want to communicate that there are a big variety of resources available to help you get going on energy saving projects. First, energy advising and rebates are available through Efficiency Works for electricity, Xcel Energy for natural gas, and also Boulder County PACE, Partners for a Clean Environment, for rebates and low interest loans. They can also help you on the sustainability front. And then I'm going to make a plug for the Sustainable Business Program. I would encourage you to become a participant. There are additional resources available through the Sustainable Business Program to help with initiatives and to help you get certified. And finally, as I mentioned, you're going to be receiving a post-webinar packet with program links and contact information for rebates and other resources. But please reach out to any of us that have been on the panel today to learn more or to ask questions about the opportunities that are available to you. And that is all I had, and I'm going to pass it off to Francie for water conservation.
Great, thank you, Susan. I'm similarly going to start with going over a summary of average commercial water usage for 2019. Similar to energy, water usage can really vary by the business and the building type. So even though these annual average numbers may, for your business, may seem high, that's because most of our water users actually use less water than this, and there's only a few larger water users that skew that average. So it's really important to understand that similar to energy, water usage can really vary by the type of commercial business you have.
what's unique about water, it's really important to look at your winter versus your summer usage, especially if you have outdoor water irrigation. As you can see in this average, summer monthly usage more than doubles, and that's because of the amount of water that can be used on outdoor water uses. So if you're looking at averages for water and wastewater, it's about $2,000 per year. And because wastewater is just looking at your indoor usage, you don't see those changes from winter to summer. Next slide. So I'm just going to start with highlighting some different types of usage of water depending on the office or business type, and then end with some tips. So for small to medium office buildings, a lot of the water usage is used in the restroom. So upgrading your toilets and urinals to WaterSense appliances can be a great step to reducing your water usage. If you have an older toilet that was especially built before 1994, upgrading that toilet can save you a large amount of water. After that, you see that for office buildings, the next is cooling and heating. And this is specifically for office buildings that have cooling towers. Not all office buildings have cooling towers, but taking the step, if you do have one, taking the steps to make sure you're making sure that cooling tower is efficient and well maintained can greatly save on your water usage. And then after that, it goes to landscaping and kitchen. So making sure you have WaterSense appliances both indoors and outdoors can be a great step to reducing your water usage for our office building. Next slide. While restaurants, it can look very different. The kitchen is really where restaurants are using a lot of their water. So focusing on how to identify where water is being used in your restaurant and how to reduce that. Just making simple steps to upgrade to more efficient aerators on your kitchen faucets or your bathroom faucets, and using pre-rinse spray valves can be a great step to reducing water in your kitchen. And it can be free with a business assessment. We have free installs, though they are limited per year. It's also important to identify other water usage. One area that's kind of becoming a recently studied area of water waste is when businesses run water to defrost meat or defrost vegetables. So there are actually new technologies that are coming out that actually can save a significant amount of water in that wastewater stream. So there are a lot of opportunities for your kitchen that are low-cost opportunities, or you can take the higher cost opportunities to upgrade different dishwashers and other items. And then after that, domestic and restroom is still a large water user for restaurants. So again, going back to upgrading your toilets and your faucet aerators. Next slide. So water saving activities usually kind of split into two different categories, both indoor and outdoor. But the most important thing is to conduct a facility audit. As you could see from the differences between an office and a restaurant, they use very different water usage. So really understanding how your water is being used in your facility is really important. Really, any building will have sinks. So upgrading your sink aerators to WaterSense is a great and easy step because those are often very affordable. Checking for leaks, both indoor and outdoor. Not all leaks you can hear or see, so make sure you routinely check for leaks. Make sure your employees are practicing water-wise practices and educating your employees, and little things from turning off the water when they're washing their dishes, or doing different things that can encourage water-wise practices. As I mentioned, improving your cooling tower efficiency. And when you do upgrade to a WaterSense toilet and urinal, we do have rebates that range from $50 to $100 depending on the toilet you're replacing. And this isn't required, but it's highly recommended for businesses that you have a MAP score of higher than 600 grams, so that you're installing a toilet that not only uses less water, but functions and flushes things properly. Next slide. So if you have outdoor water usage, which not all businesses have, but especially if you have any outdoor irrigation, it's really important to start with an irrigation assessment. We offer free slow the flow irrigation assessments through Resource Central every summer, and you can get signed up by calling that number. Again, checking for leaks is really important. If you have an outdoor leak and you don't catch it for a month, that can be a lot of water, not a very large bill. For those who don't have irrigation, you may still be spraying off your front area of your business or your back area. So instead of doing that, consider dry sweeping or using a water broom. What's really important is that you don't sweep anything down our storm drains, as that can cause stormwater problems. For those, again, who have irrigation, there's some simple best practices that you can incorporate today. There's a process called cycle and soak. So instead of using one long cycle, you actually space out your watering in 2 different cycles and leave about an hour in between, so your soil has time to absorb the water and it doesn't just run off down the road. Water at night, and this is actually can conserve water, but is also healthier for your grass. Adjust your watering cycle based on the time of year. As we're getting into the fall and it's getting a little cooler, you may only need to water your lawn about twice a week instead of 3 times a week that you might do in the high heat of the summer. And also it's great and important to aerate. Aerating helps create healthy soils and helps with water infiltration. And then lastly, this tip will not apply to everyone. It only applies if you pay water directly to the city and irrigate off the same tap for indoor and outdoor water usage, and if you see a significant increase in your summer usage. So if you see all of those different things, then you may be eligible for a winter quarter average, and you can call this number to see if you qualify, and this will help save on your wastewater bill. Next. So similar to energy, we have a lot of opportunities through rebates, direct installs, facility assessments, irrigation assessments, through Efficiency Works and PACE and Resource Central. And probably the best way to get started and see what works best for your business is to start with the Sustainable Business Program, because they'll help connect you to all these different resources and get you started. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Bernice to highlight other saving opportunities.
Thank you, Francie, and thank you, everyone. Yeah, I want to mention some opportunities on other sector, that is the waste reduction and sustainable transportation opportunities. Through the county, you guys can get rebates to start your compost service. We have a voucher for $150, and we can give you the mediation between your hauler and yourself. There is also $300 rebate for adding indoor recycling compost and trash bins. And we can also have free trainings for your employees. We can bring also signage in English and Spanish for your customers and for your employees. So and there are many other opportunities that you can reach out to me, and I can walk you through those. There are also sustainable transportation opportunities that now, due to the pandemic, we cannot really encourage to have like car sharing, or try to share our car, but we can still walk, we can still take our bike, and we can still encourage our employees and customers to do the same. It's healthy, has a great air circulation, and we can provide free bike racks for your business. So if you are interested, just please reach out to me. And I just want to let you know that after the pandemic, what customers will want will be different, because now they prioritize safety. They want things that are domestic, that are local, to support our local economy. We're in a financial crisis, so we need to offer price-sensitive products and services, and we need to be online. So if you guys don't have a presence online yet, please also reach out to me. I can help you to set up and connect you with people that can help you to set up your website, your social media accounts, and like this you can have a service online, especially because e-commerce is increasing, and it's great that you have these services, especially winter is coming, so there will be no options for restaurants, for example. All the outdoor options will be limited, so if you have these products online, it would be great. And of course, try to make these services and products like memorable, something that you can share on Instagram, social media, because now everything is virtual. And doing all of this is doing good, and doing good is being sustainable. So I invite you to subscribe to our program, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with the right resource, with the right person to enhance your business. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here today. And I want to thank our panel of speakers for talking to you more about how to read your utility bills. I hope that you learn a lot, and reach out to if you have any questions. Have a good day. Bye-bye.